The galaxy was quiet, but it was the kind of silence before a storm. Tensions had been rising between the various intergalactic species for months. Some believed humanity was a wild card, unpredictable and untrustworthy. Others saw them as a problem that needed to be solved before they caused too much trouble. But all the aliens, regardless of their species, shared one belief: humans were not a threat. At least, not until now. It was in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council that the decision was to be made. Representatives from the largest factions in the galaxy gathered in a room that seemed to stretch on forever, made of glowing blue stone and crystal pillars that echoed with the weight of history. The council's leaders were seated, each one a symbol of their people's power. At the far end of the room stood Commander Aiden Cross. His presence was calm, yet there was a fierceness in his eyes that most alien representatives had never seen in a human before. Across from him stood the alien queen, known for her cold precision. She was a ruler who did not show weakness, and her people followed her with an unwavering loyalty that could easily turn violent. The meeting had been long, filled with debates about humanity's place in the galaxy. The alien leaders spoke of human unpredictability, their chaotic behavior, and their seeming disregard for galactic law. They discussed how humans had been expanding into space, building colonies on other planets, and how the other species were growing wary of this expansion. "We cannot allow this," the alien queen spoke in a low voice, cutting through the murmurs in the room. Her words were sharp, as always. "The humans have proven time and again that they are a threat. Their actions cannot be ignored. We must act before it is too late." Many of the council members nodded in agreement. The words human and threat had been used more often than not in the past few years, and the tension had reached its peak. The humans were at the center of a new war, one they hadn't wanted but were forced into by the actions of others. Commander Cross stood tall and looked around the room. His heart was heavy, but his mind was clear. "You chose this. We never wanted war. But you gave us no choice," he said. His voice was steady, but the gravity of his words sent a ripple of surprise through the council. A murmur ran through the room as the representatives exchanged glances. They had expected a show of weakness, a plea for mercy, but instead they saw a human ready for battle. The commander's words had cut through their arrogance, revealing the resolve of a species they had underestimated. "You mistake us for fools," the alien queen said, narrowing her eyes. "You will regret this choice. We will destroy you before you ever have a chance to fight back." But Cross didn't flinch. "You've been misjudging us from the start. You think we're reckless, that we're naive. But we've been preparing for this moment. We've learned from every mistake we've ever made. And now, we're ready." He paused, looking directly at the alien queen, his expression unwavering. "You chose war. Now let us show you how it's done." The words echoed through the chamber. For a moment, there was complete silence. No one spoke, no one moved. It was as if time itself had frozen. The other representatives looked between each other, their minds racing. They had never seen a human so confident, so determined. The alien queen's face remained impassive, but there was a flicker of doubt in her eyes. She had expected fear, submission. Instead, she was met with a declaration of defiance. She knew humanity was unpredictable, but this was something else entirely. She hadn't anticipated this strength, this resolve. "I will not let you deceive us," the alien queen said, her voice now cold and sharp. "We will crush you. Your rebellion will be nothing more than a fleeting moment in the vastness of the galaxy." Aiden Cross smiled, but it was not a smile of arrogance. It was a smile of someone who had seen the true potential of humanity, its ability to adapt, to fight when it mattered most. "You can try," he said, his voice low but confident. "But you'll soon realize that underestimating humanity will be your biggest mistake." With that, Cross turned and walked toward the exit of the chamber, leaving the council stunned in his wake. His final words hung in the air, a promise and a challenge all at once. The stage was set. The galaxy was about to change in ways no one could have predicted. Outside, the humans prepared for what was to come. They were outnumbered, their technology was not as advanced as the aliens, and their fleet was small. But they had something the aliens did not: creativity, resourcefulness, and an unyielding will to survive. And those were the qualities that would lead them to victory. As Cross stood on the bridge of the human flagship, he looked out into the stars, his heart pounding with anticipation. The battle was just beginning, but humanity was ready. The aliens had made their choice, and now they would learn what it truly meant to face humanity's wrath. The final message had been sent. The war was on. The days after Commander Aiden Cross's declaration were filled with uncertainty. The Council had rejected humanity's plea for peace, and the galaxy had now set its sights on Earth. The alien fleets were massive, their technology far superior to anything humans had ever created. The vastness of the galactic powers and their history of war made it feel like the end for humanity was inevitable. But Aiden Cross knew better. As the leader of Earth's resistance, Aiden watched the stars from the bridge of his flagship. His eyes scanned the galaxy beyond, filled with millions of stars that now represented both a threat and a challenge. Earth was small compared to the alien empires, but it was home to a species that had overcome impossible odds time and time again. This would be no different. "Prepare the fleet," Aiden ordered, his voice steady, but carrying the weight of responsibility. "We don't have much time before they make their move, but we'll make sure they know we're ready." Behind him, his most trusted officers worked quickly, moving with purpose and determination. The human fleet was small, barely more than a handful of ships, yet they had something the aliens lacked: ingenuity. Humans were not bound by rigid rules. They could think creatively, adapt when needed, and overcome even the most difficult of obstacles. The aliens, despite their advanced technology, were predictable. And that, Aiden believed, was their greatest weakness. Elsewhere, the alien queen paced in her private war room. Her cold, calculating mind was already 10 steps ahead, or so she thought. She had believed that the human resistance would collapse the moment their fleet met her forces. After all, she commanded one of the most powerful fleets in the galaxy, and humans were nothing more than a small, untested species. But the human message had shaken her confidence. The defiance, the challenge, it was unlike anything she had anticipated. Her generals tried to calm her, suggesting they simply wipe out the humans before they could launch any meaningful counterattack. "We should strike immediately," said General Varys, a hulking alien with dark scales and sharp predatory eyes. "Their fleet is too small. Their technology is outdated. We'll crush them in no time." The queen turned slowly, her eyes gleaming with an unreadable expression. "We won't underestimate them," she said. "We've made that mistake before. These humans may be unpredictable, but we will not act recklessly." Her mind raced as she considered the possibilities. She had seen many species rise and fall in her long reign, but humans were different. There was something in their spirit, their willingness to fight no matter the odds, that set them apart from the others. She had seen their resilience in small skirmishes over the years, and now they were preparing for a full-scale war. The queen would have to be cautious. As the queen prepared her fleet for the final strike against Earth, a small group of humans, led by Aiden Cross, were working in secret. Unknown to the alien forces, the humans had developed a way to disable the advanced technology used by the alien fleets. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough. In a hidden lab on Earth, Dr. Lily Ramirez, a brilliant scientist, and her team were busy working on the device. The plan was simple: infiltrate the alien fleet's communication systems and disrupt their orders. The humans had learned that alien technology relied heavily on synchronization. If they could sever that link, it would throw the aliens into chaos. "We don't have much time," Dr. Ramirez said, her voice tight with stress. "If we can't get this working before their attack, it's all over." The device, a small but powerful unit, was designed to hack into the alien command network. Once activated, it would send confusing signals that would scramble the alien fleet's ability to coordinate their movements, making them vulnerable to human attacks. The clock was ticking. The human fleet had no choice but to use this risky plan to level the playing field. If it worked, the aliens would be forced to retreat. If it didn't, Earth would fall. Back on the flagship, Aiden stood with his crew, eyes fixed on the screen. The alien fleet was approaching, its ships dark and menacing against the backdrop of space. Every ship in their fleet was prepared for what would be the fight of their lives. "We can't let them reach Earth," Aiden said, his voice firm. "We hit them now, while they're still too far away to regroup." He turned to his first officer, Captain Helena Brooks. "Prepare for battle. We will launch the first strike before they realize what's happening." Helena nodded. She had been with Aiden through every mission, and she trusted his judgment. But even she couldn't ignore the weight of the situation. The odds were stacked against them. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. "Commander, we've received word from Dr. Ramirez," said Lieutenant Marcus, the communications officer. "The device is ready. They're about to launch." Aiden's eyes narrowed. The mission was their best chance to weaken the alien fleet. If it worked, they might just have a fighting chance. If not, well, they'd be fighting against impossible odds. As the human fleet prepared for battle, the alien ships loomed closer, their massive forms filling the screen. The Queen's fleet was unstoppable, or so they thought. The first strike was about to begin. The cold expanse of space stretched endlessly before Commander Aiden Cross as he stood at the helm of the human flagship, the Liberty. The stars around him blinked like distant beacons of hope, but in his mind, all he could focus on was the approaching alien fleet. It was massive, far larger than anything humanity had ever faced. Yet, as he looked out at the vast darkness of space, he was not filled with fear. He had faith in his crew, and he had faith in the human spirit. They had always found a way to survive, no matter the odds. "Commander," Captain Helena Brooks called from her station, her voice calm but alert. "The alien fleet is less than 2 hours out. We don't have much time." Aiden nodded. The Liberty was the flagship of the human resistance, and despite its small size compared to the alien warships, it was equipped with the latest human-made technology. The ship's crew was small, but every member was trained and ready for battle. The humans may have been outnumbered, but they had something their enemies did not: the will to fight with everything they had. "Prepare the fleet," Aiden said firmly. "We strike first." In the command center, the crew moved quickly to execute their orders. The human fleet was composed of just 10 ships, but each one had been equipped with the latest weapons and, more importantly, human innovation. Aiden had always believed that when humans were pushed to the edge, they would create something extraordinary, something no one expected. Today would be no different. Meanwhile, on the alien flagship, the Queen stood in her war room, watching the approaching human fleet with cold, calculating eyes. She had heard the humans' challenge, their defiance, and though she had dismissed it as nothing more than a last desperate act, there was a part of her that couldn't ignore the strength behind their words. The human fleet was small, but they were making their move earlier than expected. "Send the fleet into formation," the Queen ordered, her voice unwavering. "Crush them before they can organize." The alien fleet responded immediately, their massive warships moving in a synchronized, calculated manner. The aliens had always relied on their advanced technology to secure victory, their fleets operating with perfect coordination. But this time, something felt different. The Queen's instincts told her that the humans were planning something that could disrupt their entire strategy. Aiden watched the alien ships draw closer. "It's now or never," he said quietly. His crew worked together as one, moving with purpose and precision. They activated their weapons, preparing to strike. But Aiden had a different plan. Instead of waiting for the aliens to make the first move, the humans would take the initiative and hit them where it hurt the most: their communication network. Dr. Ramirez's device is in position. Lieutenant Marcus reported. "We're ready to send the signal." Aiden took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. If the device worked, it would disrupt the alien fleet's coordination, causing chaos in their ranks. If it didn't, well, the humans would have to rely on their skills to survive. "Do it," Aiden commanded. The device sent a pulse through space, a wave of interference that targeted the alien ship's communication systems. The effect was almost immediate. Alien ships began to break formation, their movements becoming erratic. Some ships slowed down, others veered off course. It was as if the entire fleet had been thrown into disarray. "Now," Aiden shouted. The human fleet moved in with incredible speed, using the confusion to their advantage. They fired their weapons with precision, targeting the alien ship's weak points. Despite being outgunned, the humans fought with unmatched determination. The Liberty led the charge, its advanced weaponry tearing through the enemy's shields, exposing their hulls. "Direct hit to their flagship," Captain Brooks exclaimed, watching the damage unfold on the screens. The alien fleet was beginning to falter. The Queen's flagship was taking heavy damage, its shields buckling under the force of the human attack. But the Queen was not one to show weakness. "Regroup," she ordered, her voice full of fury. "Counterattack." The alien ships began to recover, their systems slowly coming back online. The humans had made a significant strike, but the aliens were still a formidable force. Aiden knew they had to keep up the pressure, but the cost of this battle was already starting to show. The human fleet had taken losses, and their ships were damaged. "Commander, we're losing 2 ships." Lieutenant Marcus shouted, his face pale with worry. Aiden's heart sank. The Liberty had managed to do damage, but the aliens were regrouping, and the fight was far from over. Still, he remained calm. "We won't back down," he said, his voice unwavering. "Keep fighting. Keep pushing forward. The aliens are learning the hard way that we're not easy to defeat." The battle raged on. For every alien ship that fell, 2 more took its place. The human fleet was fighting with everything they had, but the odds were still stacked against them. Yet there was a spark in Aiden's heart, a spark of hope. They had made a dent in the alien forces. They had shown the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. On the alien flagship, the Queen's face twisted into a scowl. The humans were relentless, far more dangerous than she had ever imagined. She could feel her control slipping, her confidence shaken. "This war is far from over," she muttered, her voice filled with both frustration and respect. But as the battle raged, one thing was clear. The humans had made their mark on the galaxy. They had shown the aliens that they would not be crushed, not without a fight. The first battle had been nothing short of chaotic. The humans had managed to inflict significant damage to the alien fleet, but the alien forces were regrouping quickly. The human fleet had taken losses, and the situation was becoming more dangerous with every passing minute. Still, Commander Aiden Cross knew this was only the beginning. The aliens had underestimated humanity, and that mistake had given the humans their first victory. But now, they had to make the most of it. "We can't hold them off for long," Captain Helena Brooks said, her voice tight with concern. "Their fleet is too large, and they're reorganizing faster than we can hit them." Aiden looked out at the vast expanse of space from the bridge of the Liberty. The stars seemed so peaceful from a distance, but in the depths of space, a brutal war was raging. Humanity was fighting for survival against an enemy that had never truly taken them seriously. He knew they couldn't rely on their fleet alone for much longer. The human forces had to strike where it would hurt the alien invaders the most. "We need to disrupt their command structure," Aiden said, his voice calm but resolute. "If we can do that, we can buy ourselves more time. We need to take out their central control ship." Helena nodded. "But how? They're heavily protected, and we don't have the numbers to take it head-on." Aiden thought for a moment. The human fleet had limited resources, but they still had one advantage that the aliens didn't: their ability to think outside the box. It wasn't about strength or size. It was about intelligence. And right now, the humans had a secret weapon that might just give them the edge they needed. Dr. Ramirez's device, Aiden said. We'll use it again. Lieutenant Marcus looked up from his station, his brow furrowed with confusion. But it only caused temporary disruptions last time. The aliens were able to fix it almost immediately. We don't need it to last forever, Aiden replied. We just need to cause enough confusion to get inside their flagship. The plan was risky, but at this point, there were no other options. The alien fleet was formidable, and every minute counted. Aiden turned to Helena. Prepare a team for a boarding mission. We're going to take out the control ship's central hub and destroy their command center. Helena's eyes widened. A mission like that was as dangerous as it got. If they failed, there was no coming back. But she saw the determination in Aiden's eyes and knew there was no backing down. We'll need to be fast and quiet, she said, her voice firm. I'll gather the crew. On the alien flagship, the Queen had finally regained control of her fleet. The chaos caused by the human disruption was beginning to fade, and her ships were back in formation. But the Queen was still uneasy. Despite her fleet's strength, the humans had proven themselves to be more resourceful than she had expected. And that worried her. Her generals gathered around her, all standing in perfect attention. General Varys, the one who had pushed for an immediate attack after the humans' first defiance, now seemed less confident. The losses they had suffered during the initial battle had shaken him, though he refused to admit it. The humans are clever, the Queen said, her voice cold. They have no right to be this resourceful. They've taken down a few of our ships, Varys said, his voice more measured. But they are a small force compared to ours. We still have the upper hand. The Queen stared at him, her expression unreadable. Do not make the mistake of thinking this is over. The humans will never stop fighting. We must prepare for more surprises. She turned away, her mind racing. She had to deal with the humans swiftly, but their resourcefulness had made her rethink her strategy. She couldn't afford to underestimate them again. Back on the Liberty, Aiden's team prepared for their mission. The plan was simple but dangerous. They would use Dr. Ramirez's device to create another disruption in the alien communication network, but this time they would follow it up with a boarding action. The goal was to infiltrate the alien flagship's command center and destroy its core systems, cutting off the fleet's ability to coordinate. We've done everything we can to prepare, Helena said, checking the equipment on her tactical team. This is it. We either make it or we don't. Aiden nodded. There was no room for failure. Stay focused and follow my lead. We move fast. We move quietly. We get in, take out the core, and get out. As the team suited up and boarded their small stealth ship, Aiden couldn't help but feel the weight of the responsibility on his shoulders. The future of humanity rested on their shoulders. If they succeeded, they would throw the alien fleet into chaos. But if they failed, the aliens would have the upper hand, and Earth's days would be numbered. The small ship drifted toward the alien flagship, barely detectable against the darkness of space. Aiden gave the signal, and the crew began their descent. The tension was thick in the air. Every crew member knew how high the stakes were. The success of their mission could change the course of the war, but failure would mean losing everything. As they neared the alien ship's hull, Aiden's mind raced with calculations. He knew that once they boarded, they had little time to act. The alien forces would be on high alert, and they would need to move quickly to avoid detection. The boarding ship gently docked with the alien vessel, and Aiden and his team moved silently into the corridors of the flagship. His ship was a labyrinth of high-tech materials and sleek, metallic walls. The mission was on. The moment the small ship docked with the alien flagship, the quiet hum of its engines cut off, leaving only the soft sounds of boots hitting metal. Commander Aiden Cross and his team moved quickly and silently through the airlock, weapons at the ready. The sleek metallic walls of the alien ship seemed to pulse with an eerie glow. There was no time to waste. They had one goal: reach the command center, disable it, and return before the alien forces had time to regroup. "We move in pairs," Aiden whispered, his voice steady but filled with urgency. "Stay sharp and be ready for anything." Helena Brooks, his right-hand officer, nodded and gestured for her team to fan out behind them. The plan was simple: sabotage the alien command center and make sure the disruption caused by Dr. Ramirez's device had time to take full effect. The success of this mission could mean the difference between victory and defeat for humanity. The air in the alien vessel was thick, heavy with tension. As Aiden moved forward, his heart pounded in his chest, but his focus was unshakable. Every corner they passed, every shadow that loomed, could hide a threat. The alien ship was a fortress, and they were intruders. The humans were outnumbered, and their survival depended entirely on their ability to move quickly and remain unseen. Suddenly, a low sound echoed down the corridor. The hair on the back of Aiden's neck stood on end. He motioned for everyone to stop and crouch, listening. The alien patrols were getting closer. Helena's voice came in a soft whisper. "They're coming. What's the plan?" Aiden's eyes flickered to the team. There was no room for hesitation. He had to make a decision. "We take them down quietly. We don't fight unless we have to." The footsteps grew louder. Aiden signaled, and his team sprang into action. They moved swiftly, taking out the alien guards in silent precision, making sure no alarm was raised. Their training paid off. Every movement was calculated, efficient, and quick. After the last guard fell, Aiden let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Let's move," he said, not wasting a second. They continued down the long corridors, avoiding the main halls and sticking to the shadows. The ship's technology was advanced, with glowing panels on the walls that seemed to be monitoring every movement. But the humans had an advantage. Their knowledge of the alien systems was growing with each passing minute. Dr. Ramirez had made sure of it. The device was designed to infiltrate the alien communication network, but it wasn't perfect. It could create temporary blackouts in their systems, and that's exactly what the team needed. As they approached the command center, Aiden felt the weight of the moment. The final piece of the plan was close. They had one shot to destroy the core of the alien fleet's coordination. If they failed, the entire war could turn in the aliens' favor. "Almost there," Helena whispered, checking the map on her screen. The doors to the command center were massive, guarded by alien technology that hummed with energy. Aiden knew they had only a small window of time before the system rebooted, and the disruption would be undone. This was their only chance. He motioned to his team. "On my signal." The doors slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the command center was a labyrinth of holographic screens, alien consoles, and towering machines that were far beyond anything humanity had ever created. At the heart of it all was a massive, glowing core, alien technology designed to control the entire fleet. Aiden's eyes locked onto it. They had to destroy it. The team moved in swiftly, planting charges on the core's base and disabling the outer defenses. But the sound of an approaching alien patrol reached their ears, and they knew the clock was ticking. "Charges set," Helena whispered, checking the timer. "We've got 2 minutes." Aiden nodded, signaling to fall back. The mission had to be completed, but there was no room for failure now. The charges would be enough to cripple the alien flagship, but they had to make sure the blast would do its job. They didn't have much time. The alien patrol entered the command center just as the team retreated into the shadows. Aiden and his team stayed perfectly still, their breaths quiet and controlled. The aliens passed by, unaware of the humans hidden in the shadows. With the countdown ticking down, the team moved swiftly toward the exit. As they passed through the corridors, Aiden could feel the heat of the upcoming explosion growing closer. They had done it. They had reached the core, planted the charges, and now it was time to get out. The hum of the ship's machinery seemed to vibrate underfoot. The tension was unbearable. Each footstep felt like it would be their last. Just as they neared the exit, the doors to the main hallway slid open, and a group of alien soldiers emerged. There was no time to hide. Aiden didn't hesitate. He drew his weapon and signaled his team to engage. The fight was quick but fierce. The aliens were stronger, faster, but the humans were relentless. Helena fired her weapon, hitting one alien soldier square in the chest. The others fell back, stunned by the speed and accuracy of the attack. But Aiden knew they couldn't afford to stay and fight. They needed to make it back to the ship, and fast. "Go," Aiden shouted. The team moved as one, retreating into the corridors just as the timer on the charges reached 0. The blast from the command center shook the entire ship, sending shockwaves through the hallways. The alien flagship trembled, its systems destabilizing. The alien fleet was in disarray. Aiden's heart raced as they boarded the small ship once again, quickly setting course for the Liberty. The mission had been a success. The alien fleet was on the verge of falling apart, but there was no time to celebrate. The humans had shown the galaxy that they could fight back. But the war was far from over. The Liberty's engines roared to life as they sped away from the crippled flagship. Aiden took one last look at the destruction they had caused. The aliens had underestimated humanity, and now they were going to regret it. The Liberty drifted through space, its systems humming with quiet power as Commander Aiden Cross watched the screen. The alien flagship they had infiltrated was now a smoldering wreck. The explosion they'd set off had disrupted the alien fleet's coordination, sending the entire armada into chaos. The humans had done the impossible. They had struck a blow against a seemingly invincible enemy. But Aiden knew this victory came at a price. The Liberty had sustained damage during the battle, and several ships in the human fleet had been lost. The aliens would not back down easily, and it was only a matter of time before they regrouped. The war was far from over. "We've done what we can," Captain Helena Brooks said as she stepped beside Aiden, looking at the glowing remnants of the alien flagship on the monitor. "But they'll come for us. They won't just let this slide." Aiden nodded, his jaw tight. "I know, but now we've shown them what humans are capable of. We've earned their respect, whether they like it or not." Helena gave him a side glance. "Respect doesn't win wars." "No," Aiden agreed, "but it changes the rules. Now, they know we're not just some easy target. We've made them bleed, and they'll have to think twice before underestimating us again." The bridge crew worked swiftly, assessing the damage to the Liberty and the rest of the fleet. The humans had taken a heavy toll, but they had also given as good as they got. The alien fleet had been thrown into disarray, and now was the time to push forward, before they had a chance to recover. "Commander, we've received a transmission from Dr. Ramirez," Lieutenant Marcus said, his fingers flying across the console. "She's got some new intel on the alien fleet's movements. It looks like they're gathering their forces for another strike." Aiden's eyes narrowed. "Where?" "Just outside the asteroid belt. They're regrouping there." Helena raised an eyebrow. "They're too close to us. We'll have to act fast." Aiden didn't hesitate. "Set a course for the asteroid belt. We won't give them the time to recover." The human fleet shifted into action, preparing for what would undoubtedly be another brutal battle. As the ships powered up, Aiden's thoughts drifted back to the mission. How close they had come to failing. The explosion on the alien flagship had been their gamble, and it had paid off. But the aliens would learn from their mistakes. The humans couldn't rely on the same tactics again. They would have to stay one step ahead. "We need a strategy," Aiden said, turning toward his senior officers. "This time, we're not going to give them a chance to regroup. We're going to hit them before they can form a proper defense." "We've lost too many ships to take risks," Helena said, her voice laced with concern. "We can't afford to charge in blindly." Aiden looked out at the stars. The war had been full of surprises, some painful, others exhilarating. The humans had proven their strength, but they couldn't get complacent. We'll have to be smarter this time. We can't rely on brute force. We need to hit them where it hurts most. Their supply lines, their communication hubs. We go in, hit hard, and get out. Helena nodded. We can do that. The Liberty's engines roared to life as it moved toward the asteroid belt. The humans had learned from their mistakes, and they were ready for the next phase of the battle. This time, they wouldn't just be defending themselves. They were going on the offensive. The alien fleet was already preparing for its next move. On the bridge of the Queen's flagship, the alien queen paced back and forth, her mind working furiously. The humans had caused significant damage, but the fleet was far from finished. They had underestimated humanity, but she had no intention of making the same mistake twice. We cannot allow them to continue this destruction, the Queen said, her voice icy with anger. Prepare the fleet for a counterattack. Her generals, standing at attention, nodded in unison. What will our strategy be, my Queen? One of them asked. We will hit them hard, the Queen replied. We'll take back what they've stolen from us, and we will make sure they understand the consequences of their defiance. The Queen's plans were set into motion, and her fleet began to move. She had no intention of losing this fight. The humans may have caused chaos, but they had not won the war. She would see to that personally. Back aboard the Liberty, the human fleet approached the asteroid belt. The distance between the two forces was closing, and Aiden's heart raced. He could feel the weight of the moment. Every decision he made from here on out could be the difference between victory and defeat. We're in position, Helena reported. The alien fleet is just ahead. Aiden looked at the tactical display, where the enemy ships began to come into view, their dark forms cutting through the void of space. The humans were outnumbered, but they had something the aliens didn't: desperation and the will to survive. Prepare for battle, Aiden ordered, his voice steady. We'll strike first. Give them no time to react. As the two fleets closed in on each other, the tension was palpable. The humans had shown that they could fight back, but they still had a long way to go before they could win this war. Aiden knew the risks. The alien fleet was powerful, but humanity was fighting with everything it had. They had one chance to win this battle. Engage, Aiden shouted. The human ships surged forward, weapons charging. The battle for Earth's survival had entered its most critical phase. It was time to prove that humanity could stand against the most powerful forces in the galaxy. The asteroid belt loomed ahead, a field of rocky debris scattered across the dark void of space. It was a dangerous place, where even the most experienced pilots could make a fatal mistake. But for Commander Aiden Cross and the human fleet, it was the perfect place to launch their final push against the alien forces. The time had come to take the fight to the enemy, and Aiden knew that this could be their last chance to turn the tide of the war. The Liberty's engines hummed with power as it surged forward, cutting through the field of asteroids. The human fleet followed closely behind, ready for battle. Aiden stood at the helm, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. The alien fleet was close, just on the other side of the belt. He could almost feel the heat of the upcoming battle, the tension building with every passing second. We're in position, Captain Helena Brooks said, her voice calm but filled with anticipation. The alien fleet is just beyond the belt. Aiden's mind raced. They had caught the aliens off guard before, but this time, the stakes were higher than ever. The alien forces were far stronger, and they had regrouped, their ships now more prepared than ever for a counterattack. The humans had to strike first, hard and fast, before the alien fleet could organize. Set course for their flagship, Aiden ordered. We take out their command center before they can react. We hit them where it hurts most. Helena nodded and turned to her crew. All ships prepare to engage. Follow Commander Cross's lead. The human fleet surged forward, weaving through the dense field of asteroids. The aliens had already spotted them, and Aiden could see their fleet preparing for battle. It was now or never. On the alien flagship, the Queen watched the human fleet approach. Her sharp, calculating eyes scanned the display, noting the movement of the human ships. She had expected this. The humans were persistent, but that wouldn't be enough to save them. "They're coming straight for us," General Varys said, his voice laced with concern. "They won't back down." The Queen's eyes glowed with cold determination. "We will not be caught off guard again. Prepare to counterattack." Her generals moved quickly, issuing commands to their fleet. The alien ships shifted into position, their weapons powering up in anticipation. The battle was about to begin, and the Queen was determined to make sure the humans didn't leave the asteroid belt alive. Back with the human fleet, the atmosphere on the bridge was tense. Aiden could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. This battle would decide the fate of Earth and its people. The alien fleet may have the advantage in numbers and technology, but humanity had something they didn't: the will to survive. "Here they come," Lieutenant Marcus said, his voice tight with tension. "They're preparing for battle." Aiden nodded. "We hit them fast, and we hit them hard. No hesitation." The two fleets closed in on each other, the asteroid belt a deadly obstacle between them. The human ships fired first, their weapons lighting up the dark void of space. The first few shots missed their targets, but the alien ships quickly returned fire, their energy blasts tearing through the asteroid field. The battle had begun. Aiden gritted his teeth as the first wave of alien fire reached them. The Liberty shook under the impact, but it held steady. The humans had trained for this. They had been preparing for months, learning the alien tactics and adapting them to their own strategies. They couldn't rely on sheer firepower alone. They had to outsmart the aliens. "Keep evasive maneuvers," Aiden ordered, his voice steady. "We need to make them miss. Take out their communication hubs, cut off their coordination." Helena's voice came through. "We're doing it, Commander. The aliens are starting to lose their grip on their fleet." Aiden watched as the alien ships began to falter, their formations breaking apart. The disruption caused by the human fleet was beginning to take effect. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough to cause confusion in the alien ranks. The human fleet moved in quickly, taking advantage of the chaos to launch a series of strikes at the alien ships. Direct hit on their lead ship, Captain Brooks called out. "It's taking damage." The alien flagship was now in their sights, and Aiden knew this was the moment. If they could take down the flagship, the entire fleet would collapse. But the alien Queen was not one to surrender easily. She had always been ruthless, and Aiden knew she would fight to the last. "Target the flagship," Aiden ordered. "This ends now." The human fleet focused all their firepower on the alien command ship. The first shots missed, but the second wave hit its mark. The alien flagship shuddered under the force of the attack, its shields failing. But the Queen was still fighting back, her fleet launching a desperate counterattack. "We can't let up," Aiden muttered, his grip tightening on the controls. "We need to break them." The battle raged on, the space between the two fleets filled with flashes of light and explosions. The humans were fighting with everything they had, using the asteroid field to their advantage, weaving between the rocks to avoid the alien fire. Then, in a final desperate attempt, the Queen ordered a last-ditch attack, sending all remaining ships to converge on the Liberty and its fleet. But it was too late. The alien flagship finally broke apart, its core exploding in a burst of light that illuminated the dark void of space. With the flagship destroyed, the alien fleet began to fall apart, the once mighty ships retreating in disarray. "We did it," Lieutenant Marcus shouted, his voice filled with disbelief and triumph. Aiden allowed himself a small smile, but he didn't relax. The war wasn't over, but for the first time in what felt like forever, humanity had taken a huge step toward winning. With the destruction of the alien flagship, the tide had finally turned in humanity's favor. The alien forces, broken and scattered, had no choice but to retreat. The humans had won this battle, but there was still more to be done. Earth's survival depended on it. As the human fleet regrouped, Aiden's thoughts turned to the future. The fight was far from over, but the humans had proven they could stand up to the most powerful forces in the galaxy, and they would fight until the very end.